Good morning. Welcome to Fast Forward Diversity and Inclusion. I'm Isa Buencamino, and my co-host is Hannah Wilson. And we will be hosting today's webcast, the 12th and final one in our pilot series of 12 interviews. Fast Forward Diversity Inclusion is a series of conversations that aim to fast forward our D&I orientation, allowing advocates to build from what's already been achieved and take the agenda to new heights. We believe that stretching our D&I orientation to a more global perspective enhances our ability to empathize and understand the lived experiences of others, to do something personally about it in a meaningful way.
And we are delighted to be joined by two guests today from UK Youth. UK Youth is a leading national charity that exists to ensure all young people are equipped to thrive and are empowered to contribute to society as change agents. So the two people joining us today are Hansa and Ikra, who both attend a college in Blackburn. But they both got involved with a youth group organisation called United Communities Organisation that run a programme called Empower Her. Empower Her is a leadership programme for young women. And the opportunity has really pushed them out of their comfort zone and given them opportunities to volunteer amongst their community. So, question one to you both is, how did you get involved with the Empower programme?
Farah got in touch with us, our youth worker, and we were like, is it something to go to? Is what we're gonna do there? And then I seen it, and then I was like, I'll just join. It's not far from my house, and it's like literally down the road, and it's only 1 hour a week anyway. So I was like, okay, And then we went there, and she told us about it in more detail. So I was like, oh, this sounds actually quite good. So and then there was a group of us, so we all like got together and did different activities, got involved in different social action, and and since then we've had a lot of opportunities.
Thanks. Hi, welcome Hansa and Ikra. So my question is, I know from our prep briefing that since that very first time that you joined Empower, that you've been volunteering for it ever since. Why are you doing that? It sounds to me that the diversity, inclusion, and equality agenda has really touched something in you. Why is it so important to you? Ikra, maybe we'll start with you.
Diversity equality is really important because I personally feel like everyone should be treated equally. And like I said, it's not about you have to understand everybody has different abilities, so maybe not getting treated the same, but getting treated equally. And that's really important because it doesn't make anybody feel down. So just say as a young Asian girl, if they said, if they never give us the opportunity for Empower Her in our local community centre, we wouldn't have known about it, and we would have just still been sat at home, and like, so it was a chance to like go meet new people, have opportunities that you wouldn't have before. So that was important to me.
Ikra, tell us about your course, because I know that you've been learning about equality as part of your college course. Can you tell us a little bit about how you've been taught about it? Remember to unmute yourself first.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, so currently I'm on my last year of level 3 extended diploma in health and social care. So as part of one of our modules is actually equality, diversity and inclusion. So we learn about like discrimination and everything else, like in detail. So when I heard this opportunity to come live streaming with you guys, I was like, wait a minute, I can use some of my college answers in this. It's like, for example, equality pay in the jobs such like between men and women. So like if a man does get paid more than a woman, that's discrimination between the two.
It's so heartening to hear, Ikra. And remind me, is it health and social care or childcare you're doing? I'm forgetting who's doing which course.
health and social care.
Health and social care. So, during just as a former head teacher and a former teacher, I think it's great to hear that actually colleges are addressing this through the curriculum, because I think so many young people don't learn about diversity, equity, and inclusion in school. And they get taught and they can go to uni and they can get a job, but actually the reality of some of the things in society, some of the things in the workplace that we need to be ready for and aware of. I think it's great that your college in Blackburn is actually addressing that as part of your curriculum, because actually that's going to empower you as a young person becoming an adult and becoming an employee in the workplace in the future. So I'm just really thumbs up to your college for actually building that into the course.
So one of the questions I want to ask you, Ikra, because I'm very curious, as an Asian woman, as an Asian woman mom, I have a view of what gender inequality is like, for me in my age. And I'm really, really curious to hear your views of what you think gender inequality is like for a British Asian woman.
So, like I am the youngest in my family. I am spoiled a lot by my mum and dad, and I get what not what I want, but I am spoiled. But like that sometimes there can be that gender inequality. Like for example, I'm 18, so my when my brother was 18, he was allowed to um stay out till late, but I have a curfew, which I don't mind. Obviously, it's you have to obey what your parents say, so I honestly don't mind that. But there is still that you do see it as a bit of a gender inequality. So yeah, so it's curfew, and it's like my mom, when I do go out, when I go out, my mom will ask me, where are you? Like as a just the mindset, so she knows where I am, but she won't with my brother. So it's a bit of
Do you know, I get that because 40 years ago, I had that too, and I don't know in your household, but in my household, every time we had to clean up the dishes, right? And clean up, my brother doesn't get asked to clean, but all the women do, right? We all get asked to clean, and we would watch our brother watching TV while we're all cleaning up, and that was just the way it was. And this was 40 years ago. So I'm like thinking, wow, it happens now. I'm curious to see why do you think what are your parents afraid of? What are parents afraid of? I'm a parent now, right? So I'm really curious what you think, why they're like that, and why you think what are they protecting you from?
um I'm not sure. Like I just think it's a natural thing, or maybe that's the way they were brought up. So they think like I think the way you're brought up is the way you're gonna bring your children up, maybe. So yeah. So like I don't have a problem with that, but yeah. So I think it's the way they were brought up, but maybe like when they were younger, it was actually maybe like harder for them, and there was more um probably more inequality then. Like as time's going, people's mindsets have changed.
So let me ask you a question, Hamza. We're just talking to Ikra about what it is like growing up as a young British Pakistani girl, and I'm just interested in your reflections, being like about your kind of like family, your culture, the community, and whether or not there's any double standards perhaps between you and your brothers or your male cousins. Any thoughts on that, Hamza?
Um, growing up British Pakistani, it's more of a stereotype thing. So like, boys can do certain stuff and girls couldn't. Um, for an example, staying out late. I had uncles who were allowed to, stay out late while like this is when I was younger, and I used to be like, well, that's not fair because why are they and we're not. Um, and I hope it's changed now, but uh, I feel like it's the older generation. They always think like males should do that and females shouldn't, and
Thank you, Hamza. And I know both of you, through volunteering with UCO in your local community centre, there's quite a lot of intergenerational work. So you are working with your elders, and equally, you said that you had to like translate for some of them. I'm interested in some of the conversations you've had, perhaps with the older women in your community, or with your grandparents, your great aunts, because do they comment on the fact that you've got it a bit easier and you're lucky, and perhaps life's a bit different for you? Like, do you want to kick us off there? Like, what kind of conversations is the Empower program generating in your wider circles?
So yeah, so the day we did the first aid training in front of the local community, we invited some of the elder ladies. So they were like, we were talking in English, and they were just looking blank at my face, and I was just like, 'cause I was like introducing what was going to happen and stuff like that, and I just looked and I was like, these I don't know what's going on. So me and the other girl, we did some quick thinking and go, let's just translate this. So we started translating stuff, and then they were like getting more intrigued into what was happening, and they were like, "Oh, so aspirin. If you're having a heart attack, aspirin, cover aspirin." And it's like, um, if you're if you're burnt, don't put toothpaste on it, because a lot of people have heard put toothpaste on it, and it's like, no, you shouldn't do that. And they were like, oh, really? And it's just like, and then it made me feel happy looking at their faces that they're knowing what's going on and what we've learned. We can like get it out to them. But yeah, so a lot of like the elder women will be like, oh, you love got it good. We weren't allowed to go to college when we were 16. We weren't allowed to um go uni, but and you love got it good, and it's like that is good, and they're positive about it. So they're not like, oh, you're not allowed to do this now. It's a positive. They like saying, you know, um, it's good you're allowed to go now. Times have changed. We weren't allowed to do that, and it's good that the next generation can do these things.
Thank you, Ikra. And Hansa, how about you? What kind of conversations have you had with your wider family members or community elders about the programme Empower Her, and perhaps the opportunities you've had that they didn't have?
So a conversation I was having with my grandma was, she was like, you're very lucky that you're doing this, because it's the little stuff the older generation are like uh so happy about, like going on the bus. For them that was a bit weird for them, because they weren't not allowed, but it was different for them. um like Ikra was saying, it was very happy seeing them knowing about stuff like a burn and ice and toothpaste that is wrong. So from that course we've learned that the older generation were like, they started to know what was happening. So they're knowing what's happening in modern stuff, and it makes you quite happy that they now know.
I think it's amazing. It's that you're able to contribute back to your elders in that way. I think that's great, and hopefully you can carry on doing that. Also want to say that you guys are so understanding, empathic of what your elders are going through, and you understand why they're like that. And I think that's really important to bridge the gap between the young people and the older people, and to to come to an understanding. I think that's really good that you guys are like that. My question is, so how is it? So Empower must have been, a brand new program. Nobody really knows anything much about it, and yet your parents allowed you to join Empower. What is it about Empower that you think works? I'm asking this because I'm thinking of the teachers who are watching this course, and any insight that they could get about what's important in organizing a program like this. What makes it successful? Ikra, maybe you can start.
I think the fact that, well, personally for my mum, I think the fact that knowing that I'm with a trusted member of like I'm with someone who she can trust. I'm with someone I know I won't be doing anything wrong with. You know, I think the fact that she knew that, and I went. I think it was probably more. It was the fact that obviously she trusted our youth worker, and it was that. And I think it was probably the fact that I wasn't being gonna be lazy at home 1 hour a week on a Friday, and it was just a chance. Just go, please, just go somewhere, so I can have some. I won't be nagging her about anything, but yeah, I think it was probably also the fact that she probably knew that if I do, you have to start from somewhere to start getting opportunities, to start building confidence, to start like even it was as little as joining a course, or not a course, as joining a youth, as joining Empower Her to for me to get these opportunities. Like I've had the opportunity to go to London and speak at the British Red Cross volunteering event, and I've been volunteering for Empower Her for the past three cohorts.
That's great answer, Ikra. Thank you. How about you, Hansa? Why do you think they allowed you? Why empower her? What made them allow you to join the program?
So when I saw the poster for Empower Her, my mum was with me. So growing up personally, I never had a lot of friends due to my shyness. So she saw it and she was like, I think this would be really good for you, and this will bring out your confidence, which it did. It boosted my confidence from here to here. So yeah, she saw it and she was like, you need to do that. At first I was like, no, there's going to be too much people there, I don't know anyone. um and Farah was there when we did see her, and she was talking more about it, like this will, like for you, it would bring out your confidence, you'll make a lot of new friends. So I went for it, and it honestly was the best thing because I made a lot of good friends. Like I said, it boosted my confidence, and it's not made me sitting at home, because that's what I would do. Every Friday we would go and talk about our experience and college and what happened, and we would learn about obviously different stuff in Empower Her, and just the little stuff like that, and it means it's very nice to me. So yeah.
Thank you, girls. And I think we should do a collective shout out to Farah, because I had a good chat with your youth worker earlier on in the week, and I think what you're both saying is it is about that trust within the community, that kind of safe space where your parents know that their daughters are going to be safe if they go to that space. And I'm just interested in thinking about safe spaces. So, like in your school experience, in your college experience, are there safe spaces in the school building, in the college building, for you to go to and have these kind of conversations and do these kind of programs? Or is it mainly out in the community that you get the chance to do these things? Hamza, can I come to you first? Like, is there anything that worked really well for you in school, in college first?
So yeah, in my college there's a place called the Hub. So if you've got any personal problems and you feel like you need to talk to someone, there's always that. And the college that I go to, they ensure, so they make sure they tell people that if you've ever got any problems, you come here. And also our teachers, they always make sure that we're not feeling alone, and we can always talk to them, or we can rely on them. And the community center as well, it's always opened. So if you feel alone and, I don't know, depressed, you can always go there and talk. There's always someone to talk to, which I find good, because letting your emotions out is very good instead of keeping them in.
So so what how you when we were talking about your college sounds amazing, actually. The way that the diversity and equity of the college you guys are in sounds really good. And I was wondering about your school experience. So prior to college, like if what things that things that you have in college that if you had at school before you got to college, if you had it in school, would have really helped in confidence and feeling less different and feeling belong that you belong. So the question is, what are the things that you have in college now that you wish you had at school earlier at school to bring out your confidence and feeling of belongingness?
Um, so like I said, in college there's a place called the Hub. So I feel like if that was in school, um, I definitely think my speaking skills would be very good. So if I had that in school, I would definitely be more confident. We did have a few stuff, like Ikra said. We did have, people that coming from the outside who we can speak to, but it was quite different. I think personally as well, I was 16, and I know that doesn't sound, that young or that old, but I could never really speak to someone. Um, so yeah, having that in school would totally be different and would be even more good. So I think that should be more common now, that someone in high school or secondary school can have someone to talk to. So, because not a lot of people can do that. So, yeah, I think it should definitely be in schools.
Thanks, Santa. Ikra, how about you?
Personally, I feel like I started Empower Her when I was in college, my first year of college. So I feel like maybe if they introduced stuff like Empower Her in schools and maybe get ready, because in school, like our high school wasn't very multicultural. It was there was quite a lot of Asians there, and it was like you're seeing, so when it was quite a lot of Asians, and there was like British white people, but it was quite less, so you never really interacted as much with, if I don't want to sound but to get, so if it was you weren't interacting as much, but like in college you're used to a lot of different people, so it's our college is very it is quite equal, like diversity and multicultural and um disabilities, and it's quite a wide range. So I think, and Empower Her, they taught you that everybody's different, everybody's not everybody has the same chances to do things, not everybody has um the capabilities to do things as well. So I feel like, because I'd already seen in college that, oh, it's different here. I think they should introduce stuff like Empower in schools, because it allows you to um it allows you to get a wider range of what to expect in college.
I completely agree with what you said there, Ikra. I feel like we're always like catching up and trying to close the gap on girls and confidence and diversity, equity, and inclusion, rather than trying to build people up. And I think I've seen that at kind of like the primary school, secondary school transition, where you have sort of like girls who lose their confidence before they get to secondary school, and then at secondary school we're trying to close the gap, and then you have the transition from secondary school to college. We try to close the gap and infill, and then when you guys, if you go to uni, it's the same thing when you start at uni. And I feel like you're absolutely right there about the program's great, but could we bring all these programs down a little bit? So it's actually about building people up. And like Hamza said, like you should have those opportunities at school. Perhaps she would have been more confident when she started at college. So I want us just to talk about confidence a little bit more. Like, girls, what do you think? Like, why is there a gap between boys and girls when it comes to confidence? Like Hamza, you've mentioned confidence a couple of times. What was it that perhaps meant that you had a lack of confidence when you were at secondary school? Were there particular things in your environment, in your school, that just didn't allow you perhaps to find that confidence a bit earlier? What do you think, Hansa?
So in school there was this thing that and in primary school, so it was, and in high school there was this thing, like I really enjoyed football. That was a personal experience of mine, but there was no team for girls to play football with, so it was only a boys team. So I've always thought, oh, boys can do stuff and we can't. So that would always bring out like girls have like lack confidence more than boys, because there's always things going on where boys can do that and boys can do this, whereas girls can't. There was no teams for girls. There was nothing, no sports. It was just only boys can do sports. That was the thing then. So I really hope it's changed now, but then there was a thing. So that's why I think, females lack confidence more than men. Uh, but yeah, I think now it's a thing where like now there is teams for females and there's everything for females. Like there's nothing that males can do that females can't now. So I hope it's changed, and if it is, I'm glad it's changed because that is a good thing. And yeah, I hope it stays like that.
Thank you, Hansa. So I'm definitely hearing there about the opportunities, the equity and the equality of opportunities for boys and girls in primary school and secondary school, because actually the stereotyping of who does what sport, for example, is really unhelpful. And by saying it's a boys' team, that's then limiting the opportunities and the possibilities for the girls. And I think yeah, that really resonates with me what you're saying there. How about you, Ikra? What do you think? Why is there a confidence gap between boys and girls in school and college environments?
So personally, I feel like it starts from it has to start from somewhere. So I feel like from primary school, it's or like Hans said, there's no you can't be in the football team because you're a girl, and most girls don't want to play. There's the odd few girls that will want to play football, and that's fine. And but then most girls don't want to, so they don't they won't build a team because there's not enough people. So and I feel like it's the same with boys as well. Like we used to do arts and crafts club, and no boys would want. They would like some boys would want to join it, but they wouldn't because it was mostly girls there. So I feel like it's having that is have from the start of. So I've always had that in my head, and then I think it builds up. It stays with you as you're growing up, because or like how then you join high school and you see a girl playing football and there's more girls wanting to play football and you're like, oh, huh, a girls football team, I've never heard of that, because in primary school we never had that opportunity. Nobody wanted to do it because there wasn't enough people to do it. And in same with the boys, it was more boys doing art because and we were like, personally, this is what like my reaction was like, wait a minute, boys like art. I was what 12 at the time, I think 13. I was thinking boys like art. Like in primary school, that wasn't boys wouldn't join the arts and crafts club. So
Do you think, girls, do you think, so there's boys versus girls, right? Do you think it's for British Asian girls and boys, it makes it worse? You think?
yeah, I feel like that is true. Like as 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 like a British Muslim girl, when in primary school or high school even, and just say you were playing with the boys, and it's like, oh, the mosque teacher said you can't play with boys, it's a sin, you know. So you just be like, oh no, we can't play with boys, and I feel like that's where you started to go. If you understand what I'm saying, like it's different. Like I used to have one of my best friends was British, right? So like in primary school, but I used to be like, she'd be like, come on, let's go play with the boys there, and I used to be like, oh no, we're not allowed to, and I feel like that is a barrier in some cases.
Hansa, how about you?
Yeah, growing up Pakistani, it was like I think some parents have had that mentality and taught their children as well that you know girls aren't allowed to play with boys, and when we would play, it would be like the kids would be saying that's why you're playing with boys, wrong, what would your mom think of that? But I know my mom would be happy that I'm playing with, you know, both genders. It's not like it's a bad thing. And yeah, it's, I think some mothers and fathers have, or carers, they have that mentality and still do that. You know, that's wrong. And like Ikra said, most teachers would say it's a sin. So you would have that in your head that, oh, I'm playing with the boy and am I sinning? Is it wrong? So I just kind of think, you know, that mentality should go away, and it's okay to play with boys, it's okay to play with girls. Um, it should be. I think we should normalize that as humans, really. Yeah.
Thank you, girls. And I'm interested. I mean, I know through Empower, you've both found your voice and you've grown in confidence, and you've perhaps had some interesting conversations at home where you're beginning to challenge some of the things. How can we involve parents and carers more? I mean, like, how can we as teachers and as parents listening, like, how can we get parents and carers more involved in these conversations? How can we share your stories a bit more, perhaps with that wider community, so that you two and your peers doing Empower can actually help make things a bit easier, a bit more inclusive for the next generation of British Muslim Pakistani girls like following you? Like, Ikra, any thoughts about how we can change the conversation, how we can raise awareness?
So yeah, so I feel like little things like inviting parents in to um perform some, I don't know, like what we did, like perform first aid, as maybe not such as that in school, like what, but like even things in that in that section to like to to prove to your parents that look, this is what we're doing, and it's not, you're learning something, and you know, and it's not about, it's fun, and it's maybe try and engage parents into thinking, or you know, oh wait, look, she's doing that, and oh wow, look, and maybe, I don't know, like, no, not maybe as having like a big audience, because I feel like you wouldn't be able to perform in front of a big audience in maybe school, or like you'd be a bit like a gulp in your, like even like me when I used to go and get an award or something in front of just my year group, I used to be like, oh no, oh no, oh no, just, you can't, you sometimes you don't have that confidence. But I feel like inviting parents in, maybe in small groups, and showing what you've learning, and you know, it's okay to be different, and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely, Ikra. Hansa, how about you? Any thoughts about how we can get parents and carers more involved in the conversations?
So yeah, personally with me, I don't think my mom would mind me saying this, but you know, she never really finished school. So she left at the age of 15, and she never really went college or university. She never carried that stuff on. So pretty much from there, she's not been involved in education. Not just education, you know, like youth clubs and stuff like that. So when we heard about Empower Her, uh, and then that first aid course, I was like, you need to come to this, because like it will help you, and you will know what, like you will know what to do. And not only that, and I go to it, you will have fun. And she met a lot of other mothers there as well, and she engaged with them. And you know, it's about meeting people. And I feel like if you encourage parents and carers to say, you know, come on, you know, do this, and you know, you will make friends. Because I feel like a lot of mothers and carers, like I don't think it's just my mom, but I've heard like my friend's mom, they finished school quite early. So, you know, stuff like that. And, you know, they can feel like a child again, is like something like that. Um, so yeah, it's, you know, you've got to encourage them to say like, come on, it's gonna be fun, and you can do it, and it's okay.
I really am really loving this sharing. Ladies, I'm reminded of that quote that gender equality is like a tide. It lifts everyone's boats, not just women's. And this also for me sounds like it lifts intergenerational boats as well. So what I'm hearing you're saying is that if we invest in the leadership potential of the young women in our British Asian culture, it actually benefits everyone, not just you who benefits from the development, but actually everyone in the community. And if we can demonstrate how that shows up in mundane things like running a first aid course where you can teach your nans how to do it, I definitely think it's a way forward. Now, the next question I want to ask is about your role models. I'm very curious to know, who are your role models? Ikra, maybe start with you.
Um, so my I have many role models, as like I've always looked up to people. So my biggest role model is my mom. Like I love my mom to bits, and like she motivates. She tells me to do things. She she says she doesn't stop me from doing things. Like, if you're trying to say, but like I feel like as I was younger, a role model will be like my primary school teacher, and I feel like she in till this day I still do remember her, and oh, I remember her. She motivated me a lot to do things, um to join clubs, to um I was a teacher's pet as well, so like in high school, in sorry, primary school. So yeah, so I feel like it's it's growing up being around positive people in education sectors as well. So I feel like if your teachers are positive and they are motivating you, and you can talk to them, like I still remember my teacher till now, maybe what, 10 years later. Yeah, 10 years later. So I feel like having them people with you all the time as you're growing up, it leaves an effect on you. So yeah.
Thank you, Ikra. How about you, Hansa?
Yeah, so I'm gonna say the same as Ikra. My mom, she's my biggest role model. Like, she's taught me stuff that I was like, and she's done stuff I was like, wow, like then when I was younger, I would think, oh, she's nagging me to, join a club, or like, go away, mom, I don't want to do that. I would say stuff like that. But now that I'm older, I realize and think, well, she was looking out for me, and some clubs I was kind of glad I went to, because like I said, it brought out my confidence. So yeah, my mom, she was like, you need to do this. She's not only like my mom, I find her as my best friend as well. um and I feel I can tell her anything, and she she's always there for me. uh Another person is my auntie. She's like close, she was closer to my age. So growing up, I would like, if you had crush on someone, you won't tell your mom. I would tell her because she was quite young. So yeah, I would, say stuff like that. And again, teachers as well. um I was really close to some teachers. So, and I had that dream when I was younger to be a teacher. So I would look at them and I would want to. I would share a story with you. It's quite embarrassing, really. So when I was younger, I would get all of my teddy bears. I would set them out and I'd pretend to be a teacher and say, well, you have got a detention, you can't do this. It was stuff like that. So I would pretend to be a teacher, and I feel like a teacher to me was my role model as well. And again, since empower her, I feel like our youth worker, she's a role model now as well to me, because she's taught me that my confidence is good, and what she does is, I kind of want to do that. So I want to go in her steps and be able to talk to young people and stuff like that, really. So yeah.
Oh, thank you, girls, for sharing those stories. They're lovely. What what lovely relationships you have with your mums, and they'll be super proud watching you today and listening to you. And I think just the what you've both shared there is actually the kind of the power of a really strong role model at primary school of teachers, male or female, who show that anything is possible. And I think the fact you added Farah as well, and those youth workers who are really doing this deep work within the communities. So between not, I don't want to say you're lucky, but you've clearly both got mums who really get it, and they want to remove the barriers for you both. Have you got, and don't name names, but have you got girlfriends, perhaps also British Muslim Pakistani girls who've got a more traditional family home and perhaps aren't allowed to do things like this? And like, what difference do you see perhaps between your outlook and experiences and some of the girls who've got a stricter kind of like family setup? Hamza, any thoughts on that? Do you want to share anything you've seen or experienced?
Yeah. So, um, I guess like in high school, I was wearing a skirt to school. So I used to wear a skirt, and I had this friend who was like, oh, she used to wear pants, trousers, and she would say stuff like, "Are you allowed to wear a skirt?" I was like, "Yeah, like, there's nothing wrong with it." And she would be like, "Oh, my mum thinks it's wrong that it attracts boys," and I'd be like, "That's a bit weird because I've not heard that. It's just a skirt, really. It's a clothing item." I was just like, okay. Um, then growing up, I would be like, some parents won't allow their daughters to do stuff like, I don't know, go out or like empower her, join the youth club. That's like, they might find that weird or wrong. Um, so I'm kind of glad I had parents who would like let me do, stuff and certain stuff. Um, I hope it's changed now for some parents. I hope they allow the daughters to, wear like a little stuff like skirt.
Thanks, Hamza. Ikra, how about you? Have you seen a difference, perhaps, with some of the girls you grew up with?
Um, yeah. So like, the other day I was telling some of my mates about this fast forward diversity program, and I was telling them I've been involved in volunteering and this and that, and they were like, "Why do you do that for?" I was like, "What do you mean?" They're like, "What's the point in doing that?" I was like, "There is a point. Is getting your word out. Is like, yeah, but is it not embarrassing doing that? Like, why would you even, you know?" I was like, "Do people still?" I feel like sometimes some parents' mindsets reflect on their children. So like their children will start thinking the same. So they're like, well, what's the point in like, is it not embarrassing for you? Is it not this? Is it not that? I was just thinking, no, it's not. I think maybe because people haven't heard of this as like it's not maybe common to some people, like opportunities like this. And I was just thinking, do you really still have that mindset that you're you're thinking, is it embarrassing? And
So how do you deal with that, right? Because like I can imagine that we're in a journey of change, right? You're right in the middle, where some of your friends will be a little bit more open to the change, and then some of your friends are not, right? So how do you deal with that? So does that mean that the friends whose families maybe are a bit more conservative, do you stop talking to them? Is that how it works, or then how do you deal with it? So Hansa, start with you first.
So how do I deal with it is well, I would say to if a friend was to say that to me, I would say, you know what, have you tried talking to them and saying, well, this is what's going on, this is modern, and like, not everything was like how it was in the 90s. Everything's completely changed. um sit down. There's a lot of YouTube videos like talking about what's modern, what's not. So they can show you videos, and uh not a lot of people would talk with the parents, but just showing up and saying, this is not the 90s or the 80s. It's not stuff like that. It's 2020, it's a new generation, and this is what's happening. And I feel like talking gets you everywhere. Like, it does get you somewhere. So talking to them, I guess, I think, I don't know.
It's really reassuring to hear that, at least, despite the change, the differences in, some families are more supportive now, that you're still all remaining friends and you're still talking about it. So how about you, Ikra?
Um. So yeah. So like, you have to accept like sometimes not everybody has the same opinions on things. So you have to accept that. But like, yeah, like I said, in my friendship group, they were saying, "Oh, what is it, and why would you do that and stuff like that." But I feel like maybe gradually they'll understand more. So but tomorrow when I go to college, I'm gonna tell them all about this. I'm gonna say, I did this, I did this, I did this, and then they'll be like, and I feel that one of my friends, she's actually getting a bit, oh, really? Oh, why is that? I've never heard of that. And then the other two are just like, oh, what the hell? What the hell? But I think as you gradually go on, people might start understanding more about things, and understanding your opinions and you understanding their opinions, and maybe accepting both opinions together. And um yeah, so I feel like I talk a lot with my hands, and I feel like that's how I get across.
I love your hand gesticulation, Ikra. It's lovely. Right. So the final question to you both before we wrap up the show. You're here because of UK Youth, and you're here because of the Empower Her program. Like, what's your message to young people or people who are working with young people? Why should young people get involved with organisations like UK Youth or get involved with programs like Empower Her? What is the message you'd like to give, Hansa first, to other young people about what the opportunity it's given you and what you've learned perhaps about yourself by being involved in that opportunity?
So to come to this opportunity, I would say, whatever you see and you like it, don't don't think about it. Just go for it. Just absolutely go for it, because the more you think about it, the more you put it off. So that's what I would do personally. If I would think about something, I'd be like, no, no, no. But what I've learned is, if I see something, just go for it. Just do it. If you like a job, apply for it. Even if someone says, oh, that's weird, and don't think about don't care what they think. Just, it's you, and it's your life, so you should do what you want to do. um like, as me as well, I wasn't confident, and joining these groups has, like, put my confidence up here. And talking to you, Hannah and Isa as well, that's really, you two are lovely ladies, by the way. And I'm glad I did this because I met you two. And it's just meeting people as well, and having fun. It's not always about, oh, your confidence. It's about having some friends as well. Ikra as well, I've got really close to her, and I'm glad I've met her because we're really close now. And yeah, you'd make a lot of new friends, and it would really encourage you as a person. And I know this, like, when I'm 20 or 30, I know that I will be thinking about this, and then I will be really glad I've done this. So yeah, I would just say go for it. That's my sort of thing.
Thank you, Hans. And what I'm hearing is, actually sometimes you lack the confidence to go for it, but you're going to get confidence by doing it. And it's that tricky balancing act, isn't it? Ikra, how about you? What's your message to other young people about getting involved in things like UK Youth and Empower Her?
Um, I feel like a lot of people will have like the mentality I had before seeing all this, like, oh, what is it? There's no point in doing it, and there is a point. Don't say there's no point, because there will be a point in doing it. Like, okay, sometimes maybe you don't have the time to join programs and youth clubs and stuff, but if you do join, try and join it. Like, I feel like you do benefit out of it. You benefit a lot,
Thank you, girls. So to wrap up then, Isa, what's your takeaway from today's show? What have you learned from listening to Hansa and Ikra?
Well, first of all, I have to say I felt really old because when they kept referring to the 90s, I was already an adult at the time. Girls, right? No, for me, okay, a couple of things. The importance of creating safe spaces for women to learn, right? A real safe spaces early on, right? Even at primary school, safe spaces where they're allowed to actually explore, try new things, and help them feel safe. The other thing is sisterhood learning. There really is something very powerful with sisterhood learning. And even when you guys were talking about your role models, mothers and teachers, there's something about that as well. And finally, no, I just want to thank you, ladies, for sharing your stories and being so open with us today. I've learned a lot as a parent because my daughter is your age. And yeah, it's given me a few insights to help me with me with me being a mom. So thank you. How about you, Hannah?
Yeah, I think my two things are similar to yours. Like number one about role models, I think it's really interesting listening to who your role models were. But I also want to say to you both, you are both now role models for other people by doing the program, by being part of your community, by sort of like mentoring the next cohort. You're amazing role models for other British Muslim and Pakistani girls. So well done for stepping up and actually showing a different way of how life can be for you. And I think the other thing is just that beautiful bit you shared about the intergenerational nature of it. That yes, this program was for you girls, but actually your mums have got something out of it, your grands have got something out of it. And I love that. I love the fact that everyone's been exposed to perhaps a different way of thinking about what life could be like for a girl, for a woman in the UK. So Isa, I'm going to hand over to you to wrap up. This is the end of our 12th and final show from Series 1. Do you want to finish off first and close?
Yes. So I just really want to thank everybody who joined our show over the last 12 weeks. Thank you. I hope everyone who watched, I hope that you had learned something from our guests and that yeah, my hope really is that whatever you've learned in the webcast helps you really raise the bar, push it forward, fast forward it. Hannah?
Well, I've loved working with you, Issa. I think it's been great having the different perspectives that we both bring. And I think I've been really impressed with every single guest we've had. And I think we've ended on a real high with Hansa and Ikra. So thank you, girls, for joining us. Can we do a shout out to Rich as well? So Richard Robinson, thank you for being the star behind the scenes, pressing all the buttons, making sure I don't eject myself from StreamYard. So thank you to our followers. Thank you to Issa. Thank you to the girls. And watch out for information about our second series coming in 2021. Take care. Thank you.